So basically, now this we could call it the report view is finished. Roughly, there are some small adjustments that could be made, but for the temperature side or page, I think it's working as accordingly. We can do some small addings, edit some small things if you want, but basically the idea is seeing the average temperature for each day during each month for each year, and seeing is there like a some kind of is there a correlation between the outdoor temperature and the indoor temperature, and just seeing how does it actually change. So the only thing I could see is that something happens with the max temperature during the start of the year, and if I go to month and I say November, I can zoom in and I can see what's happening there. But if I look at these two, well, right now they're just showing all of the data for all of the. I mean, so at 000, I mean, this doesn't really make sense because it says that the average temperature is 23 and the outside temperature is -3, and that's for the time of the day at 000, but that's for all of the day in November. So this one doesn't really make sense. It only makes sense when we start picking some different dates. So let's just say we would like to look at this day. So now we can still see what is actually happening to that day. And what we can see is that it looks like we don't even have any data from 0 to 9. So, and if I go a bit back, you can see that there's some data missing here. So that's probably the reason why this happens. Maybe was during the beginning when there was a setup. We're setting up these sensors, but basically the idea is that you can see this is the average temperature per hour. So if this will, I mean, if this one's pretty linear, that means the temperature an average per hour is pretty stable. But this one will show for each 10 minutes. So if there's like a spike at some point during an hour, this will show like the better resolution of that day. So this is how it's supposed to be used. And it's kind of neat, going through the days like this, and you can see what's happening. One thing that could be nice to include as well was a maybe to actually see when I pick this date. The only way I can see what date it is by going hover over this point, and I can see it. So if I were to do a matrix or a table, I'll just make it really small. And I will say I would like to see what day it is. Let's just see. Day, we need to go to the calendar and we will say day. This is the number of the day. Maybe that's not the most interesting part. Let's just say instead of the day, we will see the date. And the quarter doesn't make. So now we can see all of the data. Basically, this is just a table of all of the data that is represented in this page. But if I were to press, let's just say I would like to investigate that day, you can see now it's only one day represented. So that will be the 7th of January 2014. I can even change the order if I want to. Then I need to delete it and say I would like to have the day. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. This one. So I can delete this one. I would say I would like to have the day, then the month, and then the year. So like before, it will show the same, but now it start with the day, the month, and the year. And this is kind of neat. I can make a new one, and instead of being the date, I would like to see what is the maximum temperature. So if I, let's just see, use the temperature here, and instead of saying the sum, I would say the maximum. So this would be the maximum temperature for the whole period of time. And I will just drop it there. I'll do the same with the minimum temperature. So instead of saying the maximum, I will do the minimum. So if I were to investigate, I can actually see the number. I could do something similar, getting the actual average temperature or something like that, but that's up to you. Another thing that could be interesting to change is that all of these titles are generically created based on what table we named it, what we named the table in our data. It's always possible to go in here and do the format your visuals and go to general and then change the title over here to a something you pick. But as it is now, this, for instance, this one is a really long title, but it says it is the average temperature, it's the max temperature, it's the minimum temperature, and it's the outs. It's not even called outside; it's just called the average of air temperature, and that's basically because the temperature. This one is called air temperature, so maybe giving a better naming for this would be a good idea. Um, and this one is just called temperature. So if I were to change this, I will first save this one. So if I were to change this, let's just say the naming of these edit query, and either I will create a new one or I can go back to the one where I changed the name. Oh, I haven't changed the name here, have I? See, all the way up here is just called air temperature. But if I had a step where I changed it before, I'll just rename it there. But now I noticed I haven't, so I'll rename this one, and we'll call it outside temperature. And furthermore, for this one, I renamed it earlier. I think. Let's just see, renamed column. Oh, this could be taking a while. Or was it called temperature from the beginning? Probably. That was called value. It is still value. This is picking the room, and this is renaming it to temperature. All right, so here we could change it to we could call we find a decent name. It could be room temperature. And now you can see it has been changed. And if I press apply and close, and when it's finished loading, you'll now notice that the names have changed up here. And also, of course, these ones have changed, like outside temperature and the room temperature, but also the names. So, for instance, now this one says that it's the average room temperature, it is the room max room temperature, it's the minimum room temperature, it's the average outside temperature. And from the title, you can also see from this one the average room temperature and average outside temperature. Yeah, and by time to the hour. Yeah, so now the naming is better suited, and yeah, we created our first report view, and it's open for investigation and in slicing and filtering data in a really nice way, and we can work with it. And yeah, so this was the first page, and for the next series we will create another kind of visualization.